Good morning, gang. Happy Sunday morning. Okay, anybody paying attention to what's going on in the world overnight? Kind of interesting. Doesn't affect us directly, but it should be something to pay attention to and learn from. In case you didn't notice, last night, for us, if you will, the government in Syria fell. Bashir al-Assad, whose family has been in power for basically the last 50 years in Syria, has been overthrown. And everybody could say, oh, that's a good thing. I mean, after all, this is the guy who, used chemical weapons on his own people, okay, who is got rich beyond his wildest dreams, all while suppressing the needs of his countrymen. Gee, that sounds familiar. Yes, last night, for us at least, the rebel forces that were trying to overthrow his government succeeded. Now, in the past weeks or so, I mean, this isn't something that just happened, okay, but in the past weeks or so, Assad has brought his forces in around to defend Damascus, the capital. And yesterday, the rebels came into town, finished the job. They succeeded. Basically, the Syrian military, laid down their weapons, changed into civilian clothes, and disappeared off into the public. I'm just a normal guy, no longer a soldier. Here's the problem. The rebels that overthrew the Syrian government yesterday aren't exactly what you'd call good guys. HTS, okay, as the English translation, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it in Arabic, okay, is on the U.S. State Department's terrorist list. So basically, we have had one terrorist group overthrow a terrorist dictator. Gee, just what we need. More instability in the Middle East. Wonderbar. Now, Biden came out and said we're not getting involved. Trump said we're not getting involved, and this is where we have the little problem with the lame duck session here with the transfer of power in the U.S., especially changing of political parties. But Russia has said they're not getting involved. So literally, the world is saying, we're just going to let everything fall as it may. It's not like life is going to get better. HTS is a group that has no problem beheading people in the city square, executing people at will. I mean, they are a offshoot of splinter group, if you will, of al-Qaeda and ISIS. So wonderful. We have another terrorist group running another Middle East country. I don't know, kind of like, what the mess we left in Afghanistan where the Taliban is running things. Or we could go back 45 years and go, when the Shah of Iran fell, we got the Ayatollahs. Okay, same thing again. To the point where Israel has started putting tanks up on the Golan Heights, which is basically the border between Syria and Israel, okay, to prevent the rebels from starting to come into Israel. How does this affect us at all? Well, let's think about this for a second. We have an inauguration coming up in 42 days, I think it is, 43 days maybe. Do you think that's going to be peaceful? No. Okay. I can pretty much bet that the left is going to stage something similar to January 6th, which was peaceful. Okay. Don't get me wrong. I don't buy the bullshit that the Biden administration said of an insurrection, a riot, or whatever it was. I mean, watch all the video you want. It wasn't a riot. There weren't protesters there with weapons. Big difference to what happened in Syria yesterday, because the protesters there came in with AK-47s, RPGs. Yeah, a little different. I'm not saying that that's what the Democrats are going to do, but I just want you to imagine. What happens to our government if a similar situation happened? Would our police force lay down their arms? Capitol Police? Would the National Guard lay down their arms? If everything got crazy, if there was some sort of coordinated effort, like the Democrats have talked about doing, okay, coordinated efforts at state houses, okay, what would happen? Well, chances are the American people aren't quite as well armed as these terrorists are. I mean, after all, nobody's left $80 million or $80 billion or whatever it was worth of armament, locally that can be sold. So the American people don't have the access to, tanks, helicopters, artillery, that sort of stuff, okay? Automatic weapons. So no, but what we need to pay attention to is the cowardice of political leaders, okay? And the false sense of security they have. Assad thought that, hey, I'm going to bring the military in around me and they're going to protect me, until they didn't. And then Assad fled. Now, there's been stories that he got on a Russian plane and was supposedly heading toward Russia. We can't verify that, okay, because we don't know. There are rumors out there that Assad's plane went down. Now, again, these are rumors. We don't have any proof. Where they started was, hey, was this somebody that shot it down with the surface-to-air missile? We don't know. Did the plane just crash? We don't know. Nobody saw it. Did the plane just fall off the radar somewhere and everybody's speculating it disappeared? I don't know. Maybe they just turned off the transponder and that was it. Okay. We don't know. We'll probably find out in the next few days. If you find wreckage, that's obvious. Okay. If Assad shows up in, I pick somewhere, Lithuania 2 days from now, then we know. But look at what happened. The powerful leader who had no problem killing his own people, all of a sudden the people weren't there. The people he trusted said, no, we're not going to protect him. Why? Because it was their lives on the line to protect him. As much as people can say they supported Joe Biden, they supported Kamala Harris, they support Donald Trump, would you be willing to stand in front of somebody with a gun, risking your life to protect theirs? And don't play keyboard Rambo. I'm betting most of us would not, okay? Self-preservation is always, or has always, and is always the number one natural instinct we have. There are very few people in this world who are willing to take a bullet for somebody else. I mean, very few. You've got to remember, there's 8 billion people in the world. Okay. So yes, you could say Secret Service, you could say SEALs, whatever it is, are willing to do it. Not everybody is. Okay. The Capitol Police, no. Some National Guardsmen, no. Okay. In a situation like that, they'd move too. So you have the politicians who have this false sense of security that they are untouchable, that everybody's going to protect them. I'm sorry, that's not the truth. I'm going to protect me, I'm going to protect my family a lot sooner than I'm going to protect somebody else. Well, that's what you're paid for. Yeah, okay. Ever quit a job? That's all this is. But it gives you the idea of how fragile everything is. How quickly a government can be overthrown. I mean, now granted, this is a dictatorship, and I'm comparing it to our constitutional republic. Yes, if something like that happened here, we have a succession plan, and off and running we go. But when things get bad, what happens? People take care of themselves. How many people couldn't? How many people in Syria overnight got killed or decided, hey, this is better. We'll go this way. We'll just replace this terrorist with that terrorist. We kind of avoided that 4 weeks ago. We decided against replacing this idiot with that idiot and actually put somebody in who might be able to bring a little bit of peace to the world. But what happens to us? How much notification do you think Assad gave the public yesterday about all of this? I mean, it's not like you're talking an area where the news on the overthrow of the government is well spread. I mean, dictatorships don't have a tendency to allow the truth to get out. I mean, we saw that here in the United States in the last 4 years. Oh my God, we can't find out about Hunter Biden's laptop. Oh my God, we can't find the truth about the origins of COVID. Oh my God, God forbid anybody know who's on the Epstein or the Diddy list, right? This is controlling the media. That's what was done here. Imagine under a true dictatorial regime, how the information is withheld from the people. So when all this went down in the last 24 hours, how many people in the country were left completely in the dark? Probably a lot. Now portray that over to us, United States, Canada, wherever we are, okay? Do you honestly think if something happened here, I don't know, Putin decides to send hypersonic missiles toward the United States, Xi Jinping decides to invade California or Washington or something, how much notice do you think we're going to get? Any? Okay. What are they going to do? Send a text message out to you? Oh, the emergency broadcast system said there's hypersonic missiles on the way. Right. Okay. Because certainly when somebody in Washington or NORAD or wherever is completely freaking out that something's on the way, oh, hang on a second, I forgot. I've got to go do my job. Let me send out this text message to the world real quick. The first notification we're ever going to get is when we see it happen. When all of a sudden, like the movie Red Dawn, that paratroopers are landing in the schoolyard. Again, that's fantasy, but that's the same thing. You really didn't think, using the movie as an example, again, you don't think that, I don't know, a whole squadron of Russian airplanes in the movie, okay, flying over the United States, you wouldn't notify people, right? Nobody ever did. Kids were going to school, teachers were there, guys were driving their cars to work, whatever, and that happened. That would be exactly the same thing here. We wouldn't know until it was right there in front of you. And this is why we say all the time, be ready, be prepared, expect the worst and hope for the best. Because there may be a day, we ain't going to know when somebody decides to overthrow your mayor's office, the governor's mansion, the White House. And what are you going to do? Who's going to be the one that does it? Just some food for thought. Pay attention to what's going on around the world and just put ourselves in the same situation and go, if that happened here, what would I do? That's part of preparedness. It's not necessarily having a plan. Oh my God, if this happens, I'm going to do this. It's kind of out the window. You can't really prepare for something like this in regards to what you're going to do. But you can prepare yourself mentally for how would I handle this situation? Would I head for the hills? Would I stand and fight back? Would I bunker down? What would I do? I just want you to give that as a thought. The world is a very volatile place. We all know that there is a civil war on the horizon in the United States. We don't know when it's going to come. We don't know what's going to be the spark that sets the fire. It could be January 20th for all we know. Okay. But these things happen quickly. And most of the time, we're completely unaware. And certainly, the government is not going to tell you, hey, we're about to be overthrown. You just suddenly find out about it yourself. Food for thought. Pinball out.